Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm going back to Cowboy Hat set review Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which is not where it all started, but it's where the concept of cowboy hats came from. As will become clear, because I think there's going to be some pretty strong offenders in here. So, without further ado, only reminder I'll give is cowboy hats on a scale of 1 to 10. Cowboy hats bad. That's it. Okay. Starting off pretty well though, because this card, another round, I've already looked at, and I think it's fine. I think the Ever Saloon is a little bit cringe. Maybe you get a 1 for that. But the art is amazing. And I don't think I can knock a point off for the Ever Saloon. I think that's a 0. I think it's a 0. I think it's a 0. Archangel of Tides. There is a cowboy hat. And Archangel of Tides was a previously non-cowboy hatted. This is a card we already knew. It's not a named character, but it has been cowboy hatted. And she is now holding a gun. Which is not great. But it's not a named character. And it could just be any Archangel of any Tides, so the one that is on this plane filling that role makes a little bit more sense. I'm going to give it a 3. Armored Armadillo. Fantastic. 0. Next. Beautiful card. Avon Interrupter. No cowboy hats. Doesn't do anything cowboy hatty. 0. Next. Bounding Felidar. It's an animal. It's a cool animal. How you feel about the mount thing, or in comparison to vehicles? I think that's neither here nor there. That's a 0. Strong start. Bovine Intervention. Again, how you feel about the bad pun? I think is a side. I think the pun's a little bit cringe, but it is a 0 still. Magic has had cringe puns before. Bridled Bighorn. 0. Easy. Next. Claim Jumper. There is a cowboy hat. I never really clocked that there's a rabbit in this set. Is this like a pre-Bloomborough thing, or are there many rabbits in this set? I can't remember. Either way, the rabbit isn't like loot-ified. It's just a rabbit person thing. I don't see any problem with that card. I think it still gets a 0. There is a cowboy hat, though. No, maybe it has to get a 1 for the existence of a cowboy hat, because although the cowboy hat in this context is not bad, it is just doing the... If we put a cowboy hat on things, people will know it's the cowboy's hat set, so I think we're going to have to at least give 1 for this. Good example, Dust Animus. Cool card. An animus of dust. A spirit, some sort of dust creature. Why is the dust creature wearing a cowboy hat? Other than to really shove that down your throat. But other than that, it is only a 1. I'll give it a 1 for that. The set symbol, by the way, is a well-disguised cowboy hat. And so I don't mind it. I could very much see that as a, sort of just like an abstract symbol in the same way that... A lot of Magic set symbols are like Commander ones and stuff. Ariette's Lullaby. Who is Ariette? This might take... It's going to take a little... Is she the one from... She is. Yeah, I was thinking about this card. So... it's very Omen Paths of her to just be here. And there's a cowboy hat right there that's fallen off this guy. It's not great, the just like bringing of a character you already know to this setting to be like, look, in this cowboy hat setting. Although it does look like she's not compromised on her aesthetic or her job at all. I think it probably gets a 2, to be honest, because it is, it is cowboy hatting area a little bit by bringing her into this space. Next, final showdown. There is a cowboy hat. Like, I just don't think the cowboy hats are necessary sometimes. The every single vibe that this art is trying to give off still works if this guy isn't wearing a cowboy hat, and he's walking through a very, very western town. Like, it's, I think there's less on the nose ways of doing it. I think it just gets a 1 though. So this is not a named character or anything. Fortune, loyal steed. No problems there. Brand new character. Not even wearing a cowboy hat. Wonderful. Frontier Seeker. There is a cowboy hat. It's going to be at least a 1. Everything else is fine though. Getaway Glamour. Glamour? There's no way it's Glamour. There's no way it's Glamour. Must be Glamour. What on earth is going on in here? As the vault collapsed around them, Kellen made sure a cool couldn't follow them out. Oh, it's the Fomori Vault thing. I mean, there's a lot of cowboy hats there. But mostly, I mean, whether you think it's good or bad storytelling, I think it can't get more than a 1. I'm being fair. Firm but fair. High Noon. Very... They couldn't have a cowboy set without saying High Noon at some point, so it feels a little bit cowboy hatty. And there's a cowboy hat. I think it gets a... I think it's a 1. I'm being nice. Holy cow. Again, ignoring the bad pun. It is a 1. No cowboy hatting going on here. Inventive Wingsmith. Good example of not needing a cowboy hat. This dwarf is not just wearing a cowboy hat for no reason. Perfect. It's a 0. Continue. Lassoed by the law. Gross. That, by the way, I believe, if I have my law glasses on, that's Kervek, right? Which is insane. If you know anything about Kervek's law, all-powerful evil wizard guy, and he's here wearing a cowboy hat being lassoed. Makes me very sad. I think it has to get a 3. It's not great. Mystical Tether. Another lasso thing happening here. And there is a cowboy hat in the picture, but it's a 1. Give it a 1. Nurturing Pixie. 0. Thank you for not putting a cowboy hat on this pixie for no reason. Thank you, Iris Compiet. Wonderful artwork. Omenport Vigilante. I hate the Omen Paths, and I hate. Can I give points for Omen Path? I think I can. I need to do a whole separate thing into the Omen Paths. This is a 2. It's 1 for the cowboy hat and a 1 for the Omen Paths because I hate them specifically. Oops. One last job. This is Annie Flash, isn't it? Who, again, controversies about her aside, at least she's an original character. The cowboy hat is going to give it at least a 1. Everything else is fun. Fine. Not fun. Outlaw Medic. Make sure the medic's wearing a cowboy hat so you know we're in the cowboy hat set. Other than that, it's a 1. See, it's interesting because the racing set, which was called Aether Drift, every card got at least a 1 because of the set symbol. This one, a lot of them are getting a 1 just because there is a guy in a cowboy hat. Like, that's a cowboy hat score. That's how it works. Prairie Dog, a beautiful 0. Carry on, as you were. Prosperity Tycoon. Cowboy hats, that's a 1. I'm being nice, only giving 1 for the presence of cowboy hats. Because cowboy hats are they're a dog whistle for the process known as cowboy hatting, which is when obviously the characters themselves become involved. Oh, that art is very Final Fantasy. Not a fan. I'm just going to get a 1. Because there are cowboy hats, and I think everything else is mostly fine. I don't recognise those characters. Maybe they're just the free striders. Sure. Rustler Rampage. At least this guy feels like... I mean, he's not wearing his cowboy hat, and he's got it in his hand. But at least this one does feel like... this card, even with the cowboy hat, could exist on many different planes. Because this guy's job is a rustler, I guess. Or maybe other cows the rustlers? I don't know. He's a shepherd, or whatever, a cowherd. There's something about this that doesn't strike in me the same feeling as the other cowboy hats. Like, look at these. These characters wearing cowboy hats. It just has a very different vibe to this guy. These ones are, yeehaw, we're in a cowboy movie. And this one is, it's just my job. Yeah, I wear this hat. What of it? It's also less stylized. It's more honest. Like, look at that hat. That's just a good, honest hat. I want to boldly give this a 0, but I would not begrudge it being a 1 for a cowboy hat. Shepherd of the Clouds. No cowboy hats there. That's a 0. Sheriff of the Safe Passage. I think that the word sheriff is one of those ones where if they had done the rest of the set in a much more subtle and nuanced way, sheriff would be a good way of referencing, oh, the cowboy vibes, bringing them in a little bit in a nice way. But because it's so on the nose, the word sheriff just feels wrong. But I'm going to give it a 1 for the cowboy hat, and I'm going to leave my moaning at that. Stagecoach security. And all the tropes here, you know, the highway robbery sort of vibes, but it'll be a 1 and then we'll move on. Many just random cowboy hats everywhere. Steer clear. Good cowboy hat coming off there. But again, it more fits with the art. This looks like it could be out of many different fantasy settings. And then they were just like, well, if we put cowboys on, it'll be cowboy hats on, it'll tell us. Whereas this one, it makes sense. You know, it's a guy riding a bull. Again, I think this could be a 1, but I'm going to give it a 0 because I'm nice. I don't like whoever this is. I cannot justify giving it more than a 1, but I want you to know that I wanted to. Sterling Supplier. I think that's a cowboy hat. It's an especially ugly one. On this bird soldier. It's a 1. Take up the shield. Another 1. Thunder lasso. Lasso. I say lasso. I've always said lasso. I don't know. Some people say lasso. Again, lasso would be a great way, if the set was done subtly, of giving cowboy vibes, giving the Wild West vibes. And you know what? I'm gonna, for that reason, give it a 0 because there's, in theory, this on its own could have just, you know, it would have been fine. Trained Arinx. Yeah, I like it. That can have a 0. Vengeful Townsfolk. Are they cowboy hats? Why are there guns? Don't even get me started on guns in Magic. But they definitely did not need guns here. Or is that, it's a crossbow? Still not a great. It's crossbow very heavily doing gun stand-in, gun appropriation work here. I mean, look at that. That's just a pistol, but they've put a thing on the front to be like, make it more fantasy. This gets a. It gets a 1. I'm being nice. Wanted Griffin. I understand that it has to have the person in the art, but the Griffin itself, I'm unoffended by. There is a little cowboy idiot there, though, so it's getting a 1. Archmage's Newt. An easy 0. Wonderful. Canyon Crab. Perfect. Maybe the best card in the set. Look at that good, honest crab. That is just... That crab can do no wrong. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Daring Thunder Thief. No cowboy hat? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a cowboy. I mean, you know, I can't begrudge the armour either. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and just pretend that I'm going to assume that this thing in the background is not a cowboy hat that's just been like flung off him. I'm just going to assume it's another one of these weird little things, and I say, wow, no cowboy hat. Good job there. Incognit? Damn, Incognit did a lot of cowboy hats. But I'm gonna be kind and give it an optimistic 0. Deep Muck Desperado. Again, Desperado may have been one of those words they could have pulled out to more subtly hint, but this is a hominid wearing a cowboy hat. Very unnecessary. Slightly more offensive to me. It might get a 2. I'm doing it. Call me cruel, if you will. That's what I've decided. Gin of Fool's Fall. No cowboy hat. Beautiful. A 0. Double down. I'm gonna double down on these cowboy hats right now. The Outlaw thing was a little bit cringe. I think it's going to get 1 for the hat. I could give it 4 for the hats. I'd give it infinite for the hats. But I'm going to give it 1 for the hat. I'm going to give it 1 for that. I'm going to give it 2. I'm being nice. Duelist of the Mind. I remember this guy. I'm glad they didn't put a cowboy hat on him. It would have been dishonest. Hey, at least in real world, characters are based off, which art is based off, are not being cowboy hatted. It does get a 0. It does. Emergent Haunting. Ghosts aren't wearing cowboy hats. Brilliant. A 0. We are speeding through these, and you know what? There are some 0s, which is good. Failed Fording. I think that is a cowboy hat on whoever that person is. But generally, I think the vibes of the card are pretty good. I'm going to give it another 0. Fubblethurp. We have arrived. Now, you might think that Fubblethurp gets a pass for being here because that's his thing, that he's lost and he keeps showing up in random places. However, he is being minionized, as in Wizards of the Coast have been like, oh, we've recognised that players like Fubblethurp. Now here he is fucking everywhere, which jumps the shark, it takes the subtlety out of the joke, it takes the nuance out of the character. It's too boring and obvious, and I don't like it. That being said, he could be here normally, and so the presence of Fubblethurp himself, I'm not going to give any points, but they've put him in a cowboy hat. He could have just been here not in a cowboy hat. Every other time he showed up, he's not been in set dress. He's just been there. Why has he decided to put a cowboy hat on? Who knows? It's very hard set dressing. This is going to be... It's going to be a... It's going to be a 4, and that's me being kind, because Fubblethurp has his own story, which my feelings on are aside from fleeting reflection, beautiful art, amazing, adorable, and it's a 0. Fantastic card. Oh my gosh. Geralf is not wearing a cowboy hat. Geralf? Not Geralf. He's not wearing a cowboy hat. Okay, one of the people in the background is, but he is not wearing a cowboy hat. Why is he at Thunder Junction? Cringe. He shouldn't be here. Geralf has a character arc and his own thing. He's here to do the cowboy hat thing, but he is not literally wearing a cowboy hat. which brings us again to the point that cowboy hats are a dog whistle for the cowboy hatting process, but they're not necessary. He has been cowboy hatted here. Not to the full extent, but he has been. He does not have a good reason to be here. Omen Pass is not a good reason. It's a reason, doesn't mean it's a good one. They have written that, and it's bad. But he is less cowboy hatted. He is less. I think this is a 6. And that's me saying it's less. Geyser Drake, a 0, wonderful. Harrier Strix, what a beautiful owl. Thank you, Brian Valiza. Another 0. Jailbreak Scheme. That's Kervek again, literally in a cowboy hat. Makes me very sad. I'm not going to do the full Kervek judgment because I'll save that for the card because he has a card. It's a character we know in a cowboy hat. What did I give that other one? Lassoed by the Law. Gave that one a 3. I think this one is the same. Ooh, spoilers. This is a 3 as well. Key to the Vault. No matter how you feel about the storyline, probably not great because it wasn't a good story, but it's not a cowboy hang. It is just what it is. Lone Shark. Again, I think this falls into the bad pun category. Why is the kid wearing a cowboy hat? I don't know. Why are shark creatures? Hang on, I'm just realising that I had this same realisation when I was going through Aether-Drift. There's this weird random sub-theme of undersea creature people. Why is this guy a shark man? The way he's dressed is very, very set dressing-y. He's not literally wearing a cowboy hat, and he's not a character we know. I think this probably gets 1 for being cowboy hatty, but bumping up to a 2 because it's a bit more of an egregious representation of that set dressing. Marauding Sphinx. That's just a cool Sphinx. Oh. I was going to say it's not wearing a cowboy hat, but it does have spurs, which doesn't make any sense other than to set dress the Sphinx, which means I'm sorry, Sphinx, but you do get a 1. And that's me being nice. Metamorphic Blast. Don't know who this is. Probably Annie Flash again. Just have them not wearing a cowboy hat, though. That's a 1. Nimble Brigand. I feel like this artist so wanted to draw this character without the cowboy hat on. That's what this picture's giving to me. What an amazing piece of art. Love the colours, fantastic. This magic on this hand, amazing. The cowboy hat really fucking ruins it. That's why it gets a 1. Outlaw Stitcher. Again, just wearing a cowboy hat for no reason. It's a 1. Peerless Rope Master. Lassos aside, it's a 1 for the cowboy hat on every fucking idiot around the corner. Phantom Interference. Why is a phantom? Why is it what is essentially, I'm guessing, this 2/2 spirit is represented, this creature. Why is a spirit wearing a cowboy hat? Don't know. That's a 1. Ooh. That, I mean, I could even justify a 2. I'm doing it. I'm doing a 2. Fuck it. Plan the Heist. Now this is representing some very high scores that we're going to get to later. You've got Oko there, Rakdos, don't even get me started. You've got Vraska there. There's some heavy cowboy hang going on here. But the card itself is not representing those. It isn't those characters' cards. I think I'm going to have to give it a 4 based on the ones I did for Kervek, but it's a particularly egregious one. The Razzle Dazzler. It's a 1. More cowboy hats everywhere. Sees the secrets. This would have looked better if this was the fucking top of his brain that this was happening to, and not his cowboy hat. Also, the existence of Ashiok being here is annoying. I think Ashiok turns out to be Jace in this set. It's still weird and bad. I'll give it a 1. Shackle Slinger, 1. Shifting Grift. Is that Liliana? Or is it just... I don't know, it's cowboy hats, it's a 1. Oh god, I feel... My heart wants to give cowboy hats more, to be meaner to them, because of how much I hate them, but I'm going to leave it. Another 1. Another cowboy hat, another 1. Spring Slasher. Hooray for frogs! No cowboy hats here, a beautiful 0. Step Between Worlds. Omen Paths. That can fuck off. Cowboy hats. I'm giving it a 3. Don't like it. Stoic Sphinx. No cowboy hat and no spurs. The face of that looks weird. It looks like it's based on a real human person's face. Anyway, no cowboy hat happening here. A 0. Other Sphinx, take note. Stop Cold. Oh yeah, I forgot they've got like train tracks in this, haven't they? Cowboy hat. Just getting 1. Take the full cowboy hat. This town ain't big enough. Oh, cringe. That's going to be a 2. 3 steps ahead. That's going to be a 1 for the cowboy hats. Visage Bandit. 1 for the cowboy hat. Ambush Gigapede. Now you're talking my language. No cowboy hats here, it's a 0. Binding Negotiation. 1 for the cowboy hat. We'll get to the character later. Black Snag Buzzard. No cowboy hats in sight. Beautiful. There's a theme here. Ooh. There's something about this which rustles my jimmies extra, but I'll still give it a 1 because I'm fair and just and objectively correct. Man, what a cool character. What a fantastic piece of art and a cool character ruined by being in a fucking trench coat. The trench coats are another whole part of the aesthetic. I could have chosen instead of cowboy hats, would have been the same. Trench coat rating, everything. It's going to be a 1. Caustic Bronco. It actually gets a 0. I'm fine with it. There is a cowboy hat in the background there. Now, do I feel mean enough to give it a 1 for that? No. No, I do not. Caustic Bronco can have a 0. Consuming Ashes. Ah. I feel like I should know who this character in the middle is. Is it going to be Liliana or Vraska or someone? It's not. It's neither of those. But anyway, if it wasn't for this idiot in the background with the cowboy hat on, this would go down very well. Actually, it's getting a 1 though. Corrupted Conviction. Oh, 1 for the cowboy hat. Desert Stew. 1 for the cowboy hat. Why are even the weird shadows wearing cowboy hats? Don't know. Desperate Bloodseeker. Again, another place where it feels like the artist wanted to just draw this character, and then they were like told, make sure there's a cowboy hat in the picture, and so they had to draw it here, like flying half off. This feels so... This is a strong example. This art did not need the cowboy hat. The character did not need the cowboy hat. The vampire, everything that's happening here. But to just not give you a moment's rest from reminding you, they had to put it in. I'm going to give it a 2. I know it's just a cowboy hat, but it's a particularly egregious one. We do have Tiny Bones in a cowboy hat, so that'll be a 1. A skeleton miner. Who is wearing a cowboy hat? Gisa. Why are you here? I don't know. You should get the same score as Geralf. What did I give Geralf? Oh, pardon me. It is almost 1 a.m. though, so forgive my yawning. I gave Geralf a 6, so you're getting the same. You have no reason to be here. But at least you're not wearing a cowboy hat. Hollow Marauder. Why would this thing be wearing a cowboy hat? Don't know. Gets a 1. Insatiable Avarice. One of the greatest arts in this set. What a fantastic piece of art. Love it. And it's a 0 as well. Works very nicely. Now, here we go. This might be a 10. I'm just going to put it out there before I even discuss it in my brain. But Kevek is... You know what? Let's go on this journey together. Kevek is Kevek the Merciless. He is a warlock from Dominaria, the main antagonist in an entire block. His lifetime is longer than normal due to his magic. He was centuries old by the time of the Mirage War, way back. Yeah, he came from one of the states of Urborg. Ambitious and talented warlock. Like throughout the whole of like Kevek's Spite, he was the big bad of like one of the big sets and one of the big character settings in Magic. And he's always had like interesting and powerful, unique either mechanics or references. And here he is, joining the fucking fancy dress party on Thunder Junction, just wearing a cowboy hat and a trench coat, joining in with playing make-believe. It's pretty bad. In what way would it not be a 10? In what way is it not a 10? I'm looking for a way to justify it not being a 10 right now. Could it have been worse? I feel like it couldn't have really been worse. Unless they, I mean, it could have obviously been worse. But not with it still being what it is. I think it's a 10. Kevek, I'm sorry. I love the character of Kevek. Maybe that's why it's particularly bad. Lively Dirge. Almost no cowboy hats. But then there are on these skeletons. It's important. Or zombies. Mourner's Surprise. Oh my god. Zuzak Wojciech. You did it. A character drawn without a cowboy hat. Ignore that one in the background. But this one does not have... This is the exact kind of art where that you would imagine there'd be like a cowboy hat, like about here, just sort of flung off. Just flung off to give you that little reminder. I'm going to give it a 0 though. I'm going to be nice. Neutralize the guards. Oh fuck, I was going to say no cowboy hats. There are cowboy hats. I'm glad they didn't put a cowboy hat on this main guy. They could have just gone the extra and not put it on these two though. It will be a 1. Nizumi Link Breaker. I mean, it's a bit cowboy hatty in the way that we're bringing. Quite obviously, this is a Neon Kamigawa rat Nizumi that's come through the Omen path. So, but if I just ignore that, there's not a cowboy hat. I really do not like the clothes that this rat is wearing, which is not a sentence I thought I would say today, but nonetheless. I think I would be mean to give it a 1, but I'm good. So I'm going to give it a 0, even though I don't like it. Overzealous Muscle. Amazing. 0. Wonderful Ogre. Pitiless Carnage. Oh, fucking Richard Kane Ferguson. Amazing. Not a cowboy hat in sight. Wait, that's a lie. There are cowboy hats in my sight. I think they can be forgiven on that miniature scale, though, when you're basically just representing figures. I love that art. It's a good art. Let's go 0. Rakish crew. Oh, this is an offensive lineup here. I wish I knew my lore well enough, right, to be like, you've got Rakdos, Lord of Riots, fucking guild leader of the Rakdos Carnera, you know, blah blah blah, and then you've got Vraska, and then all of her titles and her backstory, and then Oko and her titles and her backstory. Go and watch Spice A-Rex videos. They do that much better than I do. But all of these characters, apart from one, I think, Annie Flash here, are cowboy hatted characters. This isn't their card, but this is a real offensive version of representation of them. So I'm going to give it a 4. I'm being very nice. I could treat, and maybe I should, treat every card that shows Oko in a cowboy hat as the Oko cowboy hat card, but because I know they have their own specific card in the set, I'm sort of waiting to go hard in on them for when those cards actually come up. Cowboy hat, second half of 1. Okay, we're already at black. We're doing all right. Raven of Fell Omens. No cowboy hats. Beautiful Raven. Thank you, Justin Cornell, for your Raven. Rictus Robber. Wearing a cowboy hat for no reason. 1. Rooftop Assassin, cowboy hat. 1. Rush of Dread. What is this metal thing that they're coming out of? Oh, is that supposed to be the vault, perhaps? Actually, almost no cowboy hats, apart from this one that's flown off back there. I think I might actually give that one a bit of a pass, though, because I'm feeling nice. I can have a 0. Servant of the Stinger. A 1 for the cowboy hat. Would have been such great art otherwise. Shoot the Sheriff. 1. I'm going to go 2. The trope is troping very hard there. Skullduggery, that's going to get a 1. Again, Skullduggery, another great word, great card name, if they were subtly hinting at it. Tiny Bones. Or Tiny Bones joins up. We've got actual Tiny Bones coming next. It's a representation of Tiny Bones. It's gonna get a 3. Now let's get to Tiny Bones himself. I don't know anything about Tiny Bones' story. What I do know is that Tiny Bones first appeared on a plane that was not this one and was not wearing a cowboy hat. They're a little bit fibble-fippy, like they've got a little bit of that hee-hee-ha-ha funny character thing, which I guess it sort of helps a little bit, but not. And there is a literal cowboy hat. I think it's I've got to compare where I was at 6 with Gisa and Geralf, and at 10 with Kervek. And Tiny Bones sort of falls in between. Or maybe Tiny Bones falls in the same place as Gisa and Geralf. No, Tiny Bones is going to be used in the same way Fibble Thippers. They're going to use these funny characters, ha-ha-hee-hee cute characters, are going to be the perfect ones for them to send to all these different planes and set dress them. So I think I'm actually going to go for a 7 on this one. Treasure Dredger. Almost no cowboy hat, but there it is in the background. Sorry. You get a 1. Unfortunate accident. It's troping. It's troping very hard. So I'm going to give it a 1, but there isn't a cowboy hat, and I do appreciate that. Cowboy hat, another 1. Vadmir. I think Vadmir is a new character. I don't recognise Vadmir from anything else. Let's fact check that. Vadmir. Looks like Vadmir is Vadmir. Okay, cool. Well, you are still a vampire hat wearing. You're still a vampire hat. You're still a vampire wearing a cowboy hat, which you shouldn't be. You're set dressed, but you're not being cowboy hatted because you're not like a character really from elsewhere. So I'm going to give you a 1. Vault plunderer. Actually, no cowboy hats. And plundering a vault is fine. It's going to be a 0. Brimstone roundup. Again, roundup would have been a nice subtle way to hint towards this. We do just have cowboy hat horseman though, so it's going to get a 1. Calamity. Galloping Inferno. This is exactly the kind of art where I would expect this set to give this fiery rider here a fiery cowboy hat, just to be like, remember, it's the cowboy hat set. But they didn't. And it's a very cool card, so it gets a 0. Caught in the Crossfire. Lots of cowboy hats there. That's getting a 1. Running Coyote. Fantastic. A 0. Dead-Eye Duelist. Cowboy hat. 1. Demonic Ruckus. Reducing Rakdos, Lord of Riots, to just Ruckus is a bit sad. And it is a representation of a pretty cringe a cowboy hatting. And the Rakdos one is a quite an egregious one. I think this is going to get a... Though he's not actually wearing his full cowboy get up here, he is wearing a little bit of it. I'm going to give this one a 3, and that's me being nice. Discerning Peddler, a 1 for the cowboy hat. Explosive Derailment. I mean, I'm not a fan of the whole trains thing. And I was almost about to say, but that's just my personal taste, and so I'm going to give it a 0. And then I saw the flavour text, and it made me sad, so I'm giving it a 1 anyway. Shoot me. Ferocification. Pardon me. Wonderful. Love it. 0. Gila Corsa. Amazing. 0. The Great Train Heist. Very tropey indeed. If they just called it the Great Heist, the red train being in the title really irks me. I'm going to give it a 1 though. That's me being nice. Hell to Pay. Sure. I think there is technically a cowboy hat in there. But I think this one gets away with it alright. No, it doesn't. No. Fuck you, it's a 1. Hellspur Brute. Amazing. What a wonderful Minotaur. And they haven't just put a cowboy hat in it. The armour actually looks like it's very well considered and interesting and unique and not just like yuck cowboy. It gets a 0. Hellspur Posse Boss. Oh, don't like it. It's a 2. It's me being nice. I'm being very nice today, as you can tell. Highway Robbery. We're troping all over the place again, and there's multiple cowboy hats. It's going to be a 2. Irascible? Irascible? What is that word? It's a rascal is what it is. I think it's actually fine. It's a big Wolverine. I could say it's a 0. Iron Fist Pulverizer. Take the cowboy hat off this and we'd be mostly fine. The boots here are very set dressed. The whole outfit is very set dressed actually. It's going to get a solid 1. Same with this Longhorn Sharpshooter. Very, very cowboy. They couldn't just have Minotaurs there. Everyone has to do the cowboy thing when they come here. Don't like it. Magda. Magda has been cowboy hatted pretty hard. Magda is a dwarf who can fucking like summon dragons or something. And here she is, just wearing a cowboy hat, come through the omen paths. I think I might have been too nice on Gisa, Godalf, and Tiny Bones. And I'm going to have to go back and revise their scores because Kevek felt like Kevek was a 10 because of Kevek's fall from grace and fall from power. But that almost doesn't matter that much. And even if it does, this is sort of the same exact thing happening to Magda. And if the power thing doesn't come into it, then maybe I knock 1 point off. So maybe Magda's a 9? I was being too nice. Magda's a 9, and you know what? Tiny Bones, you're at best an 8. Geezer, where are you? There you are. You're an 8. Sorry, not sorry. And Garalf, where are you, Jaralf? You're an 8 as well. You have all been cowboy hatted, and I will not have the wool pulled over my eyes. Magebane Lizard. Here we are. There we go. Something to regulate my heartbeat. Beautiful. 0. Mine Raider. Gets a 1. Cowboy hats. Do not like it. Outlaws Fury. Cowboy hats. Gets a 1. Prickly Pear. I really wish with these they had kept these cactus people, because, you know, whether you like them or not, I'm not particularly a fan of them, but I wish they had kept these cactus people as not wearing cowboy clothes as well. Like, why are these guys also wearing the cowboy get-up, the trench coat? What are they fucking... Like, they're... I feel like it does get a 1 for set dressing. They've even managed to set dress the set that was already there. Quick Draw, that's a 1. Quilled Charger, beautiful, 0. Reckless Lackey. I'm surprised they didn't put this pirate in a cowboy hat. This pirate is just in pirate gear, so that's a 0. There's the Roadrunner, that's a 0. Return the Favour. Oh, fantastic art. Really fucking ruined by the cowboy hat in the middle of it though. Just gets a 1. Rodeo Pyromancers, a 1. Scalestorm Summoner, a 1. Scorching Shot. Lots of set dressing there happening, a 1. Slick Shot Show Off, a 1. Stingerback Terror, a Scorpion Dragon with no cowboy hats, it's a 0. Take for a Ride. Very, very set dressing in a couple of cowboy hats, that's a 1. This is a Terror of the Peaks reprint. I didn't even know that was in this set. Well, it's a very good reprint because there's no cowboy hat, so it's a 0. Thunder Salvo. Oh god, are they the guns? That's a gun. It's a gun. That's not a crossbow. What is this bow doing that is... That's a gun. And it's made to like a fucking minigun. Ew. I'm being nice, only giving that a 1. Is that a cowboy hat? I think that's a cowboy hat. Damn, that would have been a cool card otherwise. Yeah, oh yeah, there's a cowboy hat falling off that guy's head as well. Just to be sure, that's a 1. Aloe Alchemist. Again, why are the cactus people wearing the cowboy get-up as well? This would have been really cool if it was just like an Aloe Alchemist, pure plant guy, you know, cactus man. But it gets a 1 in its own native house. Hate it. Ankle Biter. No cowboy hats though. There's a boot. There's someone else's boot. It's also just a boot. That's a 0. Beast Bond Outcaster. That's a 1 for the cowboy hat. Betrayal at the Vault. Oh, it's lots of characters and cowboy hats. I'm going to give it a 3 like I have been with the others that do that. Bristle Pack Sentry. Wonderful. No cowboy hats. Very cool art. A 0. Thank you, Josiah Cameron. Okay, Bristly Bill does feel like he is less dressed up like the others are supposed to. Like, though the sort of rags and clothes that he's looking like, it looks like he's wearing here, feel like the type of clothes that the cactus people wear, not like they're wearing human clothes and being set dressed. So actually, I think Bristly Bill gets a 0. Well done. Cactarantula. Bad pun. Gets a 1 because it's got cowboy hats in it. Colossal Rattleworm. There's actually no cowboy hats in it. Again, the whole thing with Tumbleweed is a really good, would have been a really good way to point towards that's the aesthetic that you're leaning on, in the same way that, you know, Born of the Gods and Nyx are like Greek mythology and is fine. If they had done this in that way, Tumbleweed would have been a really nice way to hint towards the fact that you're doing Wild West. This does get a 0. I just wish that more of the set had the nuance for it. Same for this card, Dance of the Tumbleweeds. It's quite funny. Yeah. I think if I was meaner, I mean, yeah, I'm not. I think the point is, I'm not trying to say they can't do Wild West, right? They can't do a Western aesthetic. You just have to. You have to do it in a more nuanced and considered way. And I think tumbleweeds are one of the things you can get away with. This one's a bit memey or whatever, but you can do tumbleweeds. Don't do cowboy hats. Next. Drover Grizzly. Beautiful bear. Even though it's a 3 mana 4/2, not a bear at all. 0. Free Strider Commando. Oh god, it's a centaur with guns and a fucking cowboy hat. I'm giving it a 2. Let me. Well, at least this one doesn't have a cowboy hat. It does have a gross gun. But I feel like if more of the set looked like this, again, like weapons that are sort of a bit crossbowy and a bit gunny aren't as bad. I need to go back and look at Kaladesh, because Kaladesh did tech, and Kaladesh did tech so well. It never felt like they just had guns now. This feels like they just have guns now. But it's not cowboy hatting, so it does get a 0, because there's no cowboy hat here, so I think I'm alright with that. Full steam ahead. The train thing's a little bit cringe. There are some cowboy hats here. I'm going to give it a 1. Giant Beaver. That was my nickname in high school. That's a 1. Gold Rush. Again, it just feels like art was drawn here and then they were said, excuse me, Eric Wilkerson, could you please add a cowboy hat to that? Because we don't know that people will understand that they're in the cowboy zone otherwise. It's a 1. Gold Vein Hydra. Much better. Beautiful card. It's a 0. Hard Bristle Bandit. Yep, this has got a cowboy hat on. It's a 1. Intrepid Stable Master. It does get a 1 for being a cowboy hat, but it's quite funny art. I like it. Map the Frontier. Man, this would have been such a good. This would have been really, really good art if they just took the fucking cowboy hat off. A Tumblewag. It's a 0. It's a 0. Oh, I gave it a 1. It's not a 1. It's a 0. Outcaster Greenblade. Or cowboy hats. That's a 1. Trailblazer. Cowboy hat. That's a 1. Patient Naturalist. Amazing. Do it like this. This is the exact kind of card which I can imagine looking at and being like, why did they give her a fucking cowboy hat? But they didn't. Inka Schultz knew what they were doing. It's a 0. Beautiful art as well. Fantastic. Railway Brawler. No cowboy hat. The whole railway thing's a bit cringe, but I think I give it a 0. I'm being nice. I'm showing my vulnerable side here. Rambling Possum. There's a bit of an appeal to cuteness, but I was going to say it's a 0. They're cowboy hats. I'm giving it a 1. Raucous Entertainer. See, the cactus people don't have to wear clothes. My point stands even more so, though. I don't really understand what's happening in this picture. Is it about to get attacked by... Why is there light? Is that light coming out of something? I don't know, it's getting a 1. It's cowboy hats. Reach for the sky. A bit tropey, but not actually that bad. I'm going to give it a 0 because I'm feeling nice. Rise of the Varmint. Yeah, 0. Smuggler's Surprise. Some mini cowboy hats there, but like... I think that mostly gets a 0. I can forgive that. I don't really like it, but... This is obviously not about personal opinion. This is raw fact. So whether I like it or not, doesn't matter. You can't have that cowboy hat from me, a snakeskin veil. That's a 1. Spinewood Armadillo. Oh, that's so precious. Look at that guy living his best life. That's a 0. Spinewood's paladin. Don't call yourself a paladin with a fucking cowboy hat on. 1. Those badges are cute. They can have a 0. Throw from the saddle. That one almost actually is generic enough and not cowboy-y enough for it to warrant a 1. Where's the cowboy hat? It is there. I'm giving it a 0. I'm being nice. Trash the town. Hey, look, these things are not in cowboy hats. That's a 0. Tumbleweed Rising. Weird and cringe, but it's a 0. Voracious Vomit. That's a 0. Good card. Akul, the Unrepentant. This is, I believe, an original character. Let's find out. Yeah. And actually, doesn't look like he himself has been overly cowboy hatted, so he gets a 0. Good job, Akul. Annie Flash, controversial character. I think she has been set dressed a little bit too hard. I'm not very comfortable with the whole Cowboys versus Indians thing being represented in that sort of way. Not for me to really judge on, but I don't like it. I'm just going to keep it at A. There's a cowboy hat and I don't like that, so it's a 1. Annie joins up. God, the like descending of the cowboy hat is like, it's like being anointed, you know. And now you shall become cringe. It's gonna get a 1. Assimilation Aegis. Would have been fantastic if that guy wasn't just wearing a fucking cowboy hat. 1. At knife point, cowboy hat. 1. Badlands Revival. A non-cowboy hatted cactus folk. Very nice. 0. Baron Bertram Greywater. I think this is another trope that you can sort of get away with playing. The gold bars Baron, rich guy, without it being too heavily set dressed. And there isn't a cowboy hat. The clothing's very modern, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I still call it a 0 because I'm nice and cool and epic. Bonnie Pal. Yes, she's a giant, but she shouldn't be wearing a giant cowboy hat, so she gets a 1. Breeches. I need to stick to my guns on it. This character has been omen pathed here, but is not in a cowboy hat. He's set dressed a little bit without the cowboy hat, but actually, there's a lot over here that's sort of going okay. And for that reason, it's a 6. Bruce Tarl. Weirdly enough, Bruce Tarl, who is like a literal ox slash... Yeah, I think it is ox. Like an ox herder, is the perfect character to bring here. If for every reason. This character, he should be here. He did get here via the Omen Pass, I believe, which I don't like. But he doesn't wear a cowboy hat. He looks like Bruce Tarl. I think this is actually quite low. I'm going to give it a 3. Cactus Folk Sure Shot. Cringe Gun. I'll give it a 1. A griff, without a cowboy hat, it's a 0. We're into multicoloured. We're almost there, guys. How many have we got left? Okay, we're sort of almost there. This bear druid. Cool. Don't know why. I don't know what the flavour is of him plotting things. Is he a big schemer? But he's in a cowboy hat, so I don't like him. So he gets a 1. Pardon me. There are some cowboy hats here, and Ariette should not be here. Oh, did I let Ariette get off a little bit easy earlier? Oh no, it was Ariette's lullaby. I gave it a 2. I will change that to a 3 though. Ariette got off a bit easy. She should have at least a 7. She shouldn't be here. Eartha Joe. I don't recognise the name. And they don't look particularly... Oh no, there's a cowboy hat. I was going to say they don't look particularly set dressed. But... So they're a core, which means they're from Zendikar and shouldn't be here. And they're a little bit set dressed. But it's not a character we know. So I'm going to go for 5. Being kind, 5. Former posse. Don't like it. It's giving it 2. Gired. A little bit like Bruce. Gired, I think, Tamer of the Wilds vibe, would make sense as someone who wants to be here, but he's been omen pathed and he is wearing a fucking cowboy hat. I don't think Gired is in other... Let's have a look at Gired. In other iterations. Oops. Gired. Yeah, this is who Gired is. So he's been cowboy hatted a bit. I think he gets a 7. Sorry. The Gitrog should not be here. Hasn't really been set dressed, which is fine, but shouldn't be here. Oh, now this is just me taking up beef with the omen paths, which is part of it. It's inseparable. I'm going for a 5. Honest Rutstein. Rutstein also shouldn't be here and is wearing a cowboy hat. What is Rutstein's role previously? Where's Rutstein from? Old Rutstein. Innistrad, yeah. Travelling Kessig citizen, yeah. He's a traveller, I guess. Oh, he is just here to be a familiar character with a cowboy hat on, though. So you're going to get a 7. Intimidation campaign. Why is this spectral skeleton wearing a cowboy hat? Who knows? It's a 1. Gem Lightfoot. I don't recognise this character in any way. Therefore, I can only assume... there is some set dressing going on there. It gets a 1. Jolene. I don't think we've had a Jolene before. I think she's an original character. She is set dressed, so she gets a 1. Cambal. Cambal should not be here. He's very set dressed. It's not a cowboy hat. He's not literally wearing a cowboy hat himself, but he shouldn't be here. He's going to get a 6. Yeah, it's going to get a 6. Kellen. Which one was Kellen again? Is Kellen the little fairy one? Yeah. Kellen's the fairy one. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Oh. So that one can have a 3. This Kellen can have an 8. Chrome. Guess it makes sense anyway, because you've been... Have we had a Chrome before? You have to apologise. Me going back and Googling all these... searching up all these characters. But it's important to know, yeah, we have. Chrome is the opus creation of the scientist Ludwig in... I think that's Innistrad, right? And now, here they are, brought back. Not necessarily set dressed, but it's going to be a 6 anyway. Laughing Jasper Flint. Set dressed, but an original character, so only a 1. Lazav. Very, very cowboy hatted. Lazav should not be here or have any part in this fucking nonsense. It's a 9. Lila, original character, but it's a 1. Cowboy hat, make your own luck. Cowboy hat. Malcolm also shouldn't be here. Now he's wearing a cowboy hat. That's an 8. Marchaser, criminal offender. criminal offender. It's a 10. It's another 10. Just like whoever our last 10 was. Who was the last 10? Kervek. Yeah, Marchesa is such a cool character, reduced to fucking woman in a bar wearing a cowboy hat. Hate it. Miriam, at least your original character, you get a 1. And you listen, you're doing cowboy things. Oh, Becca also shouldn't be here. And is set dressed a little bit. You're getting an 8. Oko, that's a fucking 10. You should not be here. Fucking fairy, like king of the fairy court or whatever the hell you are. Why are you here pulling off a heist wearing a cowboy hat, you fucking prick? Pillage the Bog. Absolutely phenomenal artwork. It would be even better if they weren't wearing cowboy hats, but it does get a 1. Rakdos joins up. 3. Rakdos the Muscles. Another 10. Rakdos, Lord of Riots. Reduced to this fucking cringe shit. Riku's here as well. I totally forgot about Riku. Why the fuck are you here? It's another 10. Roxanne. I swear this was one of those fucking unhinged cards or unglued, whatever the most recent one was. Unstable. Don't know why I thought that. Who the fuck are you? Don't know, but you're wearing a cowboy hat, you get a 1. Ruth Slawbringer, cowboy hat, 1. Sataru, the Infiltrator. We do know who Sataru is. Sataru... I don't know, Sataru had a card before? Oh, Satoru. Sataru? What was I saying? Yeah, there we go. I've had Satoru Mizawa, who came from this plane. Is not wearing a cowboy hat. Oh man, I forgot that March the Machines did that thing as well. God, I fucking hate the Omen paths, man. You're going to get a 7. Silvala. You're here wearing a cowboy hat. At least Silvala always was. To be honest, if anyone was going to be... Silvala was always wearing a cowboy hat? Wait. Oh no, it's not the same hat. Oh, why? Okay. From everything you can see in these old arts, Silvala looks like the perfect character to bring to this setting. Because she's already wearing this fucking cool hat. It's like tricorn or something. And then when you bring her here, you put her in a different hat. You were that desperate for her to not wear this hat? She already looks like a fucking cowboy there. That's so sad. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be lenient and kind and say that it's a 9. Purely because the only reason it's not a 10 is because I can see a world where Silvala is more justified to be here. Seraphic Steed, beautiful unicorn. That's a 0. Slick Sequence, 1. Cowboy hat. Ty Wakeen. Actually, no cowboy hat. Weird gun. Mostly okay though. You know what's interesting? The way the gun is done in this art, it doesn't make it look as casual and easy. It makes this technology look more innovative and interesting and magical, rather than when they're all just wielding around pistols like this or holding a big fucking minigun. I almost don't mind that one. I'm going to give it a 1 for guns though, but I'm just saying. Vial Smasher, you're a 9. Shouldn't be here. Vraska joins up. 3 for this one. Vraska herself being here. Not in a cowboy hat, but in cowboy boots. I'm going to be very... Oh, am I going to be nice and give it a 9? I am. But I shouldn't. Just let you know. I know that I shouldn't, but I shouldn't, but I am. A 1 for the cowboy hat. Wily Duke, who I think is an original character wearing a cowboy hat, so that's a 1. Bandits Hall, fine, sure, 0. Boombox. Why has it got horseshoes all over it? I don't like it, but I'm going to give it a 0. Gold pan, absolutely fine, 0. Lava spur boots. Again, I think boots with like spurs could have been a cool way for them to bring in a little bit of it if they were doing it subtly. But I don't like it, so I'm giving it a 0. They're getting too far away from fantasy. Luxurious locomotive. I can't not give that at least a 1. Mobile homestead. There is a cowboy hat. It's actually not that bad. I'll give it a 1 for the cowboy hat, but still. Oasis Gardener. What a fantastic piece of art. That's a 0. Red Rock Sentinel. Also a 0. Silver Deputy. Ew, cringe. 1. Sterling Hound. This is what I'm talking about. 0. Tomb Trawler. That's fantastic. 0. Abraded Bluffs. Fine. 0. Arid Archway. Fine. 0. Bristling Backwards. Yeah, fine. 0. Conduit Pylons. I mean, it's not cowboy hat set dressing, but I don't like it. I'll give it a 0, but I don't like it. Creosote Heath. Sure. 0. Eroded Canyon. Sure. 0. This type of aesthetic of these canyons and like these archways and these rocks and stuff. Another great way they could have set the scene of a western without fucking jumping the shark. Festering Gulch. Sure. Forlorn Flats. Sure. Jagged Barrens. Sure. 0. 0s all round. Lonely Arroyo. 0. We are so almost there, guys. A lush oasis. Absolutely. 0. A mirage mesa. Sure. 0. Sandstorm Verge. Sure. 0. Soured Springs. Go for it. Bucolic Ranch. Yeah, even that's fine. Blooming Marsh. Yep. Botanical Sanctum. Yeah, these reprints are fine. Concealed Courtyard. Sure. Inspiring Vantage. Sure. Spire Bluff Canal. Sure. Oh, I forgot about this one. This is not where I thought we would end. Jace Reawakened. So Jace was here in disguise as Ashiok. And Ashiok and Jace have sort of both been cowboy hatted. Or maybe at least only one of them can be, if one was just in disguise as the other. At least Jace, who was part of the Gatewatch, their whole thing was they went to a few different places and different planes and would have like, Nissa and Jason, blah, 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 here now. There'd still be them. And to be fair to this Jace, he is just Jace. He's a planeswalker who can planes walk without the omen paths. And he is just Jace. So I actually think this Jace is not cowboy hatted at all, dare I say. Is this a 0? I think this Jace might be a 0. Because we're not talking about Ashiok. This is when Ashiok is revealed that Ashiok is actually Jace. Jace, this representation of Jace, there's no cowboy shit going on here at all. 0. What a way to end the set. Which gives... Wow. That is interesting. Now that is interesting. Outlaws of Thunder Junction has an average, it says total, has an average set score of 1.4. Aether Drifts was 3.08. more than double. However, Outlaws of Thunder Junction had many, many more high hits, 10s, 9s, 8s, but had many, many zeros. Whereas Eighth Adrift had less of the high hitters. You had like Chandra and stuff, but every card was at least a 1. So, although the average works out a lot lower for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, you have to sort of pick your poison, because I definitely feel worse. Oh, you know what? Actually, I was going to say I definitely feel worse about Outlaws of Thunder Junction, but I don't even know that I do. Eighth Adrift makes me fucking sick. And I think Eighth Adrift is worse because you cannot escape it. You cannot escape the race aspect. Whereas, as we've seen, many cards here are... Yes, there were many that just randomly had cowboy hats on them, and there were a good number of 1s, but there were also a decent number of zeros. Like this, you know, actual factual zeros. This is a magic card, and I love it. And yet, because of the fucking set symbol, in part, and also many other things, there's just no break in the fucking race car set in Eighth Adrift. So maybe the average score is not the best way to measure things. Maybe it is, I don't know. But I think it is worth noting that I wonder if I can just right, yeah, here we can see Outlaws of Thunder Junction had 5 10s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 9s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 8s. 4 7s. 3 6s. 2 5s. Whereas if we look at Eighth Adrift, a lot of 1s, a lot of 1s. Oh, actually, quite a lot of 5s. Holy shit. Quite a lot of 6s. Quite a lot of 7s. But 3 8s and 1 9. Which means when we're talking 9s and 10s, Outlaws of Thunder Junction is a lot worse. But you can see where Eighth Adrift got worse. And maybe my judgment was more lax. Maybe the cards where I saw a known character in the background of these, I should have been a little bit harsher on them. But on the whole, that's where we're going to leave it. Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And I think going into it, that is what I knew, that there were more cards that were totally fine and that I was happy with in this set than there were in Eighth Adrift. But that there were also bigger offenders. And that's where we'll leave it. Goodbye.